Thanks for joining me on episode 828 of the Inspired Stewardship Podcast.
I'm Scott Brookins from scottbrookins.com. I encourage you to find the way to be inspired to start your dream business and find freedom. And one way to do that is to be inspired by this, the Inspired Stewardship Podcast with my friend, Scott Mader.
But the truth is, oftentimes taking that 10 minutes to work through meditation, or taking 20 minutes to exercise, or taking 8 hours to make sure that you get a good night's sleep, all of these sorts of things actually are better uses of your time. And the irony is, they'll pay off.
Welcome and thank you for joining us on the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. If you truly desire to become the person who God wants you to be, then you must learn to use your time, your talent, and your treasures for your true calling. In the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, you will learn to invest in yourself, invest in others, and develop your influence so that you can impact the world.
In today's episode about developing your influence by stewarding your time, I talk with you about how many of the things we believe are good uses of our time are actually wasting our time. I share how many of the things that we say we don't have time for are actually our best uses of time. And I also share why understanding this can affect your focus and your energy.
As we talk about stewarding your time, wouldn't it be great if you could support this podcast and do it without just taking too long? Turns out you can't. All you have to do is use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon when you're ready to make a purchase via Amazon, and a small commission will come back to support the show just that quick. If you enjoy the show when you are ready to buy from Amazon, just use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon.
One of those ironies around how we use our time is that often we spend a lot of time on things that we truly believe are good uses of our time, when they actually end up wasting time and energy and focus and taking it away from those things that really get us moving in the direction that we want to go. And often the very things that we say are things that we can't get to, or we're too busy to do, or we actually can't put any time into that, end up being the things that help us the most when it comes to using our time. Let me give you an example. Oftentimes we think of meetings as a good use of time, meeting with other people, sitting down and talking, having that meeting with an agenda or maybe without one, where we work through our problems, we take notes, we give action items, and we move forward to the next assigned action that we're supposed to be doing. Oftentimes this seems like a really good use of our time. Or maybe it's going through your email, spending 30 minutes to an hour going through your email, making sure that you've looked at every single one and you've answered every single one seems like a great use of your time. Or maybe working late into the evening so that you spend some quality time in the evening making sure that you've gotten everything on your to-do list done seems like the best use of your time. But oftentimes, these things end up taking away time, energy, and focus from the things that would really get you to be more productive in the long term. Let me give you some examples of those things. Maybe it's spending 5 or 10 minutes in the morning meditating or relaxing and focusing on the day. Maybe it's spending 15 or 20 minutes the night before, when you're wrapping up your workday, creating your to-do list for tomorrow and going over your calendar so that you can go to bed that night knowing what you're going to be working on the next day. Maybe it's actually getting enough sleep at night and spending a full 8 hours in bed so that you can really sleep and recharge your batteries and let your mind recover from the day. We'll often say we don't have time for those things. I don't have time to do a morning routine because I'm always behind. I don't have time to spend some time and energy meditating because I'm always struggling to get everything done. I don't have time to get a full night's sleep because I have to work late into the evening. That's the only way I can get everything on my to-do list completed. But the truth is, oftentimes taking that 10 minutes to work through meditation, or taking 20 minutes to exercise, or taking 8 hours to make sure that you get a good night's sleep, all of these sorts of things actually are better uses of your time. And the irony is they'll pay off because in the time that you are working, you'll actually be more productive. You'll get more done. Now, it's not instantaneous. You have to build up to it over time. This is a habit sort of situation. This is about growing yourself over time. It's about improving a tiny little amount each and every day so that it compounds over time into a great deal of success. See, these are the things that we often say, I don't have time for these. I don't have the time and the energy to be able to spend my time and energy doing this. And because of that, you actually end up wasting more time overall. See, doing these sorts of small incremental changes help you have more focus and more energy. And when you have more focus and more energy in the time that you spend, you get more done. And what's more, you're able to get the right things done. You're able to filter out those things that are actually a waste of your time and begin to say no to those, begin to move those off your to-do list and leave the things on it that really matter, that make progress, that move the needle big time. So instead of spending all of your time on shallow tasks that feel like you're getting a lot done, but really don't make a big change, you can begin to carve out time to spend on the deep task that really make massive change over time. It's a hard paradox to recognize, but I'd be willing to bet you, I challenge you, think about the things that you're saying no to. Think about the things that you feel like you don't have enough time to do, and see if you can begin to add in some of those things that multiply over time and grow your productivity. Thanks for listening.
Thanks so much for listening to the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. As a subscriber and listener, we challenge you to not just sit back and passively listen, but act on what you've heard and find a way to live your calling. If you like this episode on the stewardship of time, be sure to sign up for our Stewardship of Time Tips series by going to inspiredstewardship.com/time or texting 44222 time tips, and that'll get you our best tips on stewarding your time. Until next time, invest your time, your talent, and your treasures. Develop your influence and impact the world.